Do you need the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Got it on my device.
Okay.
Wait a couple more minutes for our straggler.
Come over here, man. Do you need someone to take notes?
What?
Do you need someone to take notes to pick up?
Jen started taking this.
I'm sure most wives would think so.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
3 days ago.
Works me.
Better than saying I'm out with the guys.
Look at the bottom of the last minute, you'll see.
I was just going to dictate.
Yeah, they took away your handbook. I ran into it. I was talking, and said she should fall a couple times. And then she may not come back to make her next one. I was wondering if you heard anything. Tara did say she was coming, right?
No, I don't think so. This is it.
So we're still going to give her minutes.
Yeah, I have another minute before 6 o'clock.
Can't trust the bell across the street. They don't get it right.
It's 2 minutes early, though. Time to wake up, Andy.
So this for the
Okay, Cupertino time. It says it's 6 o'clock. I'll call this regular meeting of the Summers Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I'll call the roll. Sean Curtis.
Present.
Tara Moody. Not yet. Eddie Rocket.
Here.
Doug Stebbins.
Present.
Ralph Williams. Present. BJ Farrow. Howard Wheeler.
Yes, present.
Okay. So, the gang, such as it is all here. In the absence of the secretary, I'll read into the record the first application we're going to hear, ZBA 26-002, Danielle Savoy, 12 Mountain Road, Summers, seeking a variance from section 214-8.1.A.4, parentheses B, to install a 6-foot stockade fencing within the front yard setback where 3-foot maximum height and 1/2 open fencing is allowed. Applicants?
Hello. So we are requesting the variance. Our house is relatively unusually close to the road, so really any fence would be between that front yard setback. So we have 2 little kids. I have a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old now. So we plan to be in Summers for forever home. And that roadway, the way that our house is, that's kind of our really only front yard space, and that's the flattest part. The rest of our yard in the back is a pretty steep hill, so that kind of would be where the kids theoretically would play. With the stop sign being at Mountain and Turnpike, unfortunately, cars don't always follow the speed limit, so there's a lot of excessive speeds going up that hill. In addition to noise, there's a lot of commercial vehicles going to, I'm assuming, Massachusetts, trucks and debris and all that. So the purpose of the fence would be to, for safety for our kids, to kind of screen the noise a little bit. And the fence would be maintained on both sides of it such that there's enough space to put our mower between the roadway and the fence so that it's appealing and maintained well. And that's kind of the purpose for asking for that variance, because the way that our property is positioned, that's a very dangerous area, I would say, and it's almost like a blind hill for us. And so my fear is that if there's a ball that rolls away, or if there's kids playing, that with the speed that people are going both off the hill and coming down over the mountain as well, it would be unsafe for them there.
One thing I was remiss in failing to ask, do we know that the abutters were notified?
Yes, I have the certificates of mailing as well and the receipt for that.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm no surveyor, but I've been driven by that intersection a fair number of times. You're actually quite a bit up the road from the corner, aren't you?
So the house is positioned so the property, it starts right at the corner there. The house isn't that far, but ultimately that's kind of when people are increasing their speed. If our house was closer to the stop sign, the speeds wouldn't be that great. I think the speed limit is posted at 35, but there are motorcycles and people are driving their motorized scooters and quads up there. And so by the time that they get to where our house is and where that piece of flat yardage is, that's when they're really reaching higher speeds than that 35 limit.
It's a steep grade to overcome.
You would be surprised that people just floor it, and I think they do it for fun, especially this time of year. The motorcycles and everything, they just rev their engine going up that hill. And even for larger vehicles, those commercial vehicles that are hauling big equipment, hauling mulch and rocks and machinery and all that, it takes them a little while to speed up, but by the time that they're where the house is and where that piece of land is, then they're really moving pretty quickly.
What's the setback from the road on that house, do we know?
How far is it?
Yeah.
I hadn't measured how far from the road that you wanted to put the fence.
We were hoping to put it there's a telephone pole, so behind the telephone pole. I think it's
Well, actually, okay.
6 feet
That's good.
from the road.
Okay. And you're talking about putting the fence, judging from the aerial that you attached, along both Turnpike and Mountain Road all the way up to your house.
It would be a small portion on Turnpike, so there is natural trees and screening, almost like a fence on that edge of the property, so it would be from that screening kind of around the corner and up to where the house is. So it would stop there was an upper 2 parking spot driveway.
Mhm.
It would stop right there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It looks like the house is exactly 50 feet
Okay,
from.
so it conforms to that extent, yeah. Right.
I think the house was built in the 40s, so I don't know what the regulations
I think it was built before that.
Yeah. Well, there was
Part of it clearly was.
a few different pieces. We found like crumbling foundations all over the place, but I know that there was an addition in the 80s, but the house has been there for a while.
Okay.
So you say it's going down Mountain Road is going to go over on the Turnpike? Is that correct?
Just a little bit portion onto Turnpike, correct?
If you were going from Battle onto Mountain, it would be your first house on the right.
First house on the right. Yeah, the old marks.
And so it would be curved such that, and where it would be, even if it was close, it wouldn't impede the stop sign and visibility for that.
That was my question.
But it would be
People looking to the left are going to have a hard time seeing.
It would be curved away from the road such that anyone who's at the stop sign, and the stop sign is further down, so it shouldn't impede where the property turns, but it would be set further back to allow additional view for people that are at the stop sign there.
I know on Turnpike heading, whether you want to call it south or east, there's a stop sign, a head sign. I don't know if there is one on going in the other direction. You know, one alerting you like maybe 100 yards beforehand that you'll be coming up on one.
I drive there all the time and I can't even remember if it's there.
Right.
If not, that would honestly be very helpful because those people that are coming from higher up on Mountain Road down to the stop sign are often slamming on their brakes at that point.
Oh, okay.
Because though it's almost like a blind.
It's bumpy.
It's
The road's bumpy.
It is bumpy, and so once you right before our house, there's a little bit of a lip, if you will, and then you go down over the mountain. So once you get kind of up again, it's hard to see that stop sign. So if there isn't one, that's a good point to note.
I was thinking of the Turnpike end of it, which of course would be up to the state, not to
Right,
Yeah.
but even on Mountain coming down to the Turnpike intersection, that's kind of a blind hill.
Oh,
if you
kids,
will.
kids for years have loved the joy of accelerating down that hill.
Unfortunately, they have, and so now we're trying to figure out how to mitigate that a little bit.
Especially since they repaved.
Because in my understanding, there's zoning regs, anything within 50 feet allows for a 3-foot fence. And so the house sets back 50 feet. So could the fence go parallel with the house down the property line so you have the 50-foot setback to do your 6-foot fence so you don't need a variance?
So I think with that being really the only meaningful flat part of our yard, that's where our kids would be. So having the fence be touching and that there would be no meaningful flat piece for us to be outside there.
She said it slopes away.
Yeah, no, I'm
it's
familiar
a
with property.
significant.
But,
It goes significantly down. It's a great sledding hill, but not so much a great playing ball type of piece of property. So that would really be the flattest spot, and that also wouldn't meaningfully screen noise as well from the acceleration or the deceleration.
My only concerns, frankly, are aesthetic. I started picturing the Great Wall of Turnpike Road because it looks like it's going to go. If we're talking about like one of these 6 feet white vinyl ones that go on forever, it's like, but we're not the Board of Aesthetic Appeal. So.
So for what it's worth, my husband is also very into aesthetics. So with the house, the way that when we acquired the house, it was pretty much in shambles. And we've been here for 3 years, and we've put nothing but love and effort into it, and so we've landscaped it. He's done, this is all credit to him, but meticulous job landscaping it and fixing it up and putting little rock gardens all around it. So he definitely cares about that, and he maintains the grass. So he mows everything and weed whacks and makes all the lines nice and crisp against the road. So with it being the aesthetics of it, as aesthetic as you can make the fence is what it would be for us too, because we want to stay here. We don't want to look at an ugly fence with the landscaping going awry and everything. So both sides of it would be maintained, and that's why there would be at least 6 feet so that we can get 2 mower widths between the road and the fence, and you can maintain it properly.
So if this board were to grant variance, you would have no problem with a stipulation about how far back from the road the fence would be and whatnot. Just so if there's an approval, we don't want it to be something like a blank check. We just want to say, yeah, build your fence.
Right.
Since there are other concerns here, it'd be worth putting that in there.
So the request, I'm not sure if it was written into the variance request, but it would be 6 feet from the road. Would be part
6 feet from the road.
from the road,
Okay.
so that it could be mowed properly on both sides.
Oh yeah, got it.
Yeah. Well, there's a telephone pole, so that would give us enough space in the front of the house to play or whatever, to be outside to enjoy that piece of land, but also to maintain it on both sides.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the board?
I'm trying to understand the hardship, because that was my first question with your application. I heard you have a 2-year-old. So, well, that's a hardship. But is
That's
that
a hardship. Wait till they're 5.
Yeah, right.
Or 15.
Yeah. So the basic reason you want it is a protection and area for the kids to grow up and play and things like that?
I think there's multiple factors to it. So one of them being, yes, that because that's really the flattest piece of
Sure.
land, that's where, should my kids be outside, that's probably where they would be.
And a noise abatement, and probably safety. I grew up on Dillenbach and Hickory Hill, so I know that well. And maybe in my youth I used to go bombing down that thing, and so I know exactly what you're talking about.
So my husband and I, we actually walked it last night, and so we were on the same page of where it would be and how I can explain this. And I wish I videotaped it, because we walked just from the house to the end to where the stop sign is, and at least 3 cars were flooring up that hill with excessive noise. They don't care kind of who's there or whatever, and we were walking right there. So
You do have to boost it to get up that hill. It's a steep little hill, but
it is a
it's
steep
coming
hill.
down that I'm thinking of. With
Yeah.
bombing down that.
The noise issue is more so coming up because cars are accelerating,
Sure.
but really by the time that they hit that piece of like where our house is and where the flat spot of land is, they're going quite fast. And then on the way down from Mountain Road down towards the stop sign is where it is kind of a blind hill, and that cars don't see that there's a stop sign until they're right where the house is.
People go through that stop sign all the time.
And how many accidents have there been? At least once a week we hear brakes, like someone slamming on their brakes and skidding out. That is a near accident. Or how many actual accidents have been there. So it's not a super safe intersection to begin with.
I mean, I will say, my first thought when I saw your application is, well, I live on 83. My house is 50 feet back from the road. I have 5 kids. On the other hand, I had 300 feet going back of fairly level land, and my kids didn't want to play by the road that badly. But she's talking about a slope.
It is.
Goes
Yeah,
down.
I know the property well. I used to go fishing behind the
Yeah.
house a lot.
If we didn't get caught.
Any other questions from board members?
How far is the fence going to be off a turnpike? 6?
I think that's a little bit more because where the tree line is, so we were going to have it meet up with the tree line.
Yeah.
I would say
And you're going to slant
at
the
10
corner.
feet about on that side,
Yeah.
maybe 8 feet.
So you got plenty of vision for.
There would be, yes.
Yeah.
Where the stop sign is, there would be vision even if it was totally blocked, but it would be as curved as you can make a straight fence, kind of following the hill there.
Yeah.
Other questions from the board? Any questions from the public?
I do have one written correspondence. I'm not sure if it's Alice Formeister. That's not you. Okay, so this is Alice Formeister, 35 Mountain Road, is in opposition of granting it for the fence. She believes a natural hedge would be a better alternative. That's her statement.
I might agree. The natural hedge will probably take a few years to grow.
It also won't stop a soccer ball from going into the street.
Any other comments?
I have a comment.
Could you
Just state
identify
your
yourself?
name.
My name is Eleanor Levine. I live at 9 Mountain Road. My grandfather was the one responsible for getting that stop sign there when he was so disgusted with yet another accident. He petitioned the state and submitted, I believe, the pieces of the red sports car that he picked up off his lawn and showed us grandkids. So, yes, it is a very dangerous intersection, and I totally sympathize as a mom myself with your safety situation. And as the abutter, I am ready to look at the white plastic fence or whatever comes, because I understand the kids need a place to play. My concern, though, is the line of sight with the left turn. Given that there is that dip in the road, which I don't really understand the engineering, and I'm no safety expert. I don't know the science of lines of sight and how much setback is required, or how much peaking has to be done from a Prius versus a truck. So that's for you experts to decide. That's my concern. I'm ready to look at a 6-foot fence.
Now, are you talking about the lines of sight along Mountain or along Turnpike?
Coming down Mountain.
To turnpike.
Yeah, if you have to make that left, or if you want to know.
So you far
that it's safe
back
to
enough so people can see if there's someone coming from.
Yeah,
Although that
it's
is a
safe to
4-way stop, is
proceed.
it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they blow through it, and which is why you need to see into that dip. That is, according to my grandfather, who was a mechanical engineer, that is the problem when you are coming from Gulf.
Step.
Yeah, when you're coming from Gulf to that intersection, there's that dip right before you get to your property and the old Griswold property. They had cars twice in their front yard since I've been in residence since 2010. So it is a dangerous, but it's that dip that just as a long-time resident, I've learned you pause that extra second and you wait. Is there actually a car in that dip before it comes up? So that's what I would just like to preserve, the ability to see up Turnpike towards 190 for that dip.
That's what-
I'll say from my side as well, from the fire department, whatever, some big trucks coming down. They need to be able to see as well.
Coming down Turnpike.
Coming
Coming
down
down.
from Mountain
Coming down
Road.
Mountain Road.
Being able to see on the left, that's going to be a problem.
The
But
left
well,
is the
they're
problem.
putting fence on an angle.
Yeah, and if that's set far enough back, then it's fine.
Yeah.
That's my
But if there
thought.
were a stipulation of how far back from the Turnpike Road right of way there was,
Right,
that
she
would-
said
that
they're
would-
going to go 10
yeah.
feet.
Is-
It's
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that tree line. Do you think that would be would give enough room? Well,
So there is-
you might know better than me because you live there.
You know, I actually didn't analyze it tonight, and I'm
Okay.
not a, surveyor, so I mean, I could, but, I mean, you probably have a good sense of it too, or any of the
If,
men who drive it.
if they stop at the stop sign and it's 10 feet and they got the angle, it should be plenty of room to see. If they stop at the stop sign. I was a witness to an accident once, and the guy went through the stop sign.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing you're talking about revving up. I mean, that's a big intersection for the fire trucks and ambulances going up. So many
Yes.
roads off of there. You have to hit it.
Yeah,
You
well,
gotta get the hill.
especially if, trucks that are going to Mass and they're hauling the heavy equipment, you really have no choice but to do that. And so, just to your point, my husband is a firefighter as well. So, with this in mind, so we were discussing the plan. We would need the visibility, and for us too, we live right there, so we don't want to then step on our own feet and block our own vision, and then we could be, putting ourselves at risk. So
Your aerial, I'll grant you, was not
it was
not,
beautiful.
but it did not show the fence going straight to the corner and dogleg. It
No.
looked like it was curved around.
Yeah, so I think in the aerial, because we're drawing straight lines, then it would just cut off like a dog ear on a page. But to make it look more aesthetic, it would be curved in a sense with the panels to follow that a little bit, and then have it be set back further than the 6 feet that is here. So it would cut steeper, if that makes sense. Cut
So-
in more.
Just a couple comments. I mean, I had to look into this because I wanted to get familiar myself with kind of what's permitted or not. And I think the 50, what I came across, and Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, is the 50-yard setback for anything 6 feet or higher. But there are, in some further reading in terms of what the state allows versus what the town allows, is that if it's a distinction would be a corner lot versus a hardship. Because as you rightfully asked Andy too, because I was trying to figure out how do you define a hardship? That's always the subjectivity that we go through, right? Because I get it, kids and so forth. And so like noise and privacy and so for safety don't necessarily identify as a hardship. But the fact that you have no backyard and the fact that you're on a corner lot, I think does a lot for it. So my concern maybe is at least how I think, is what precedent we potentially set in town, because our POCD and our zoning regulations are pretty clear in terms of what's permissible or not. We're creative. We would be approving a variance from that. So my thinking is, I would want Jen or Todd or someone in the land use department just to see your final plan, make sure that the right setbacks and so that line of sight isn't blocked. So there's a safety measure for traffic. And I think that if the town, or if it has to be the state, whomever it is, the right body to oversee that, to say, hey, we're happy with the line of sight so it doesn't create an additional safety issue. But that's some of my thinking on this.
Well, a variance being a variance, it varies. So,
Yeah, no precedence really.
Right,
So-
right.
so
There is at a state level, but
But, in zoning board of appeals, you have to have a hardship which has to be unique to that particular property.
Right.
So therefore, really,
Right.
it's not specifically a precedence. In my time here, I've seen other fences approved. There's one over on the corner of George Wood and Highland View or Highland. I get those two confused. There's
On
a
Enfield.
I know.
stock in Vernon. Is it High Meadows? Right. There's white. They put it in, because they're on a corner lot. I don't think this really has much to do with being a corner lot. I think it has to do with the topography of this property.
the topography.
I was going to suggest, as everyone was talking, that we could even have Todd Rowland take a look before, have him stake out the fence. And I mean, he can send over one of his big trucks, coming down and up. And Todd is a good resource for sightline, because our regulations do speak
might
to,
want to ask the fire chief to take a look, since the subject was raised about the turning radius and whatnot. Yeah.
And you can stipulate any conditions should you decide to approve it and grant the variance. It could be a stipulation that, one, it can't be any closer than 6 feet going up mountain. Two, the location for the corner in Turnpike be approved by, Director of Public Works.
DPW, the fire.
Yeah, and Fire Marshal.
So if there are no other comments,
Are we now deliberating, or?
well, I wanted to close the hearing.
Yeah, right,
first.
okay.
I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Let's rock it with 2 pieces.
Any objections, any discussions? All in favor?
All right.
Hearing is closed. Now we can deliberate.
I have to turn to face it, so you can,
First, we
face.
should probably have a motion.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then, so,
Well, I'll move to issue a variance with certain stipulations attached.
we better state what those stipulations are.
Yeah, oh, geez, okay. All right. So that one, any variance, any such proposed fence be approved by our, town engineer, town who?
Public
DPW.
Public Works.
Right. And does that also include the fire department? Because I would want them to take a look at it too.
Fire
Right.
Marshal, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we need any state traffic people involved. There's no state highways there.
Oh, if
That
we do
is
that,
the state
that's not going to
highway.
happen for 6
Turnpike's the
months.
state highway? I didn't know that.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, do we want any other conditions?
You need to state the distance. From the front property line.
You're asking them to observe, to make sure that they have sight from Mountain Road up Turnpike.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
exactly.
That's a good question, though. Well, he's got a motion. We got to wait.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Nat. I was just...
The only question is, because it's a state highway, do we have an obligation to engage with the state?
Yeah, right.
Does the state have an automatic setback? It has to
Well,
be.
that's
Should it say pursuant to any state?
Yeah, in
DOT
compliance with
setback
any state
requirements?
safety
And
regulations.
I think to simplify, Todd's the director of DPW and emergency management, so you can cover that under one umbrella.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So have you made a motion somewhere in
Yeah, I
there?
thought I did.
You didn't state the distance, though. I need
Oh.
you to do that.
Was that 6 feet off? Yeah, 6 feet off Mount Road.
You were saying 10 feet off Turnpike, right?
That was an approximation. It's definitely more than 6 feet. It's a wider setback, I guess, on that side where the tree line is. It's somewhere between, I would say, 8 and 10 feet, but it would be in line with that tree line.
Andy, would you be in favor of the motion saying no less than 6 feet, but to be finalized on the turnpike, but to be finalized by Todd and or the state?
So I'm struggling. I listened to your concerns about your grandfather. Strathaven, is that what your property's known as? Yeah, I've driven by there a million times and I stop and look every time.
Okay, so we...
Not looking at
Some-
windows or anything, just looking at the house.
So is it...
I'm struggling because,
Well, now, struggle in a minute.
yeah, okay,
Have you made your motion?
yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Now I'm struggling.
Proceed.
Because I have 4 children, they're within 3 years, so I'm 100% with you in terms of concerns about their safety. And the soccer ball's always a fantastic analogy for kids. And as I mentioned, I grew up on that town, used to go bombing down Mountain Road, and you're right, you can if you hit it right, and you're, have a 455 in front of you, it gets airborne. So, but I'm struggling with the hardship. And I tried to come up with hardships, and my hardship was contours of the road. But if you're following the laws, the contours are fine. I guess I'm struggling looking for a hardship because we are charged by the townspeople.
Answer just one?
Yeah.
Topography.
So, and I say this so respectfully. I don't feel myself. So, if your kids can play in a flat area.
The only flat area is between that house and the road.
And that's where the only place they can play on that property. Kids can't play on.
Well, until their legs get a lot stronger.
See, I see that I'm struggling. I don't.
Did you ever try to play soccer on a hill?
You can't even put a chair to sit on the rest of the property. Really, you're
Right.
digging yourself into the dirt if you want to sit in a chair.
No, Ken, this is
Can't ask any more questions.
yeah. I'm not. I'm struggling because. But you knew that when you had the property, when you bought the property, right? I mean, you look at the topography when you buy the property. I mean, I hate to be a stick in the mud, especially when kids' safety is involved. And yet, I'm struggling with the hardships.
So when you bought your
But they didn't
house
have
2 years
kids.
later, there wasn't anything you ever said, gee, I wish I'd thought about that then?
Yeah. Yeah.
I also didn't have kids back then.
Right, shouldn't have a kid.
And I'd say didn't plan on any, but that would be. Yeah. But you see
I
my
get
struggle. I'm just
personal.
struggling with that. Pardon?
So now you're getting a little personal.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm struggling with. You know, I'm struggling with. We're supposed to uphold and balance the hardships. I mean, there's any number of ones. You want to put a thing in, but you can't because there's ledge under there. You know, all kinds of things like that. Normally, hardship is not a real.
We also have a house, the location of which and the configuration of which predates zoning,
Right.
which has in more than one case been cited as a consideration for variance.
So you would. It's your belief that the hardship is the contour of the road, not the safety of the children, because that.
I'm thinking of the safety of the children, and I'm thinking of the topography and the fact that, for all I know, you've got 10 acres there, but it might, 8 acres of which is all downhill, So there, the use of the land comes into question.
I don't know, I was just Googling, because, I can't recite it off the top of my head, even though I've sat through thousands of ZBA meetings, but an unusual hardship in land use, if this helps, just, due to topography means physical land feature such as a steep cliff, deep ravine, or severe slope that's unique to a specific property and prevents its development under standard rules. So that's what I was trying to get in my head. It's unusual and unique to that property.
Yeah, it's a very cool
Even
little spot.
further, the problem must come from the ground itself, not from the person or a money matter. Steep slope or land shape must affect only this lot or a few lots, not the whole town. So this is
I'm sorry.
unusual just for this.
It is, but my struggle is that it's unusual for the kids. And 5 years from now, or 10 or 15, whenever they stop playing outside, middle school, that hardship will have disappeared.
No, but just for anyone living in this land, the topography, hinders their use of this parcel.
So are we saying then, if anybody in town lives in a slope of, comparable slope, I don't know what the degree is, and they live at an intersection, that's defined as a hardship?
It's something we could
Basically.
consider as a hardship in light of...
Because everybody on Mountain Road, in theory,
in light of a variety of factors. And I think...
Well, so is this lot or a few lots? I mean, this is just, AI definition, right? But, right, so state statute enforced that you have to have a unique hardship to grant a variance.
When they built that house, there was no traffic, hardly any traffic there.
I mean, now there's a winery, and there's a lot more traffic on that road than it used to. So
I know
it's
people that used to
unique
swim in that pond back in the...
those
It's
houses
not
on that
really
road.
haunt.
No, not anymore.
No, it's very
Thanks to the state.
By the way, I failed to say this at the beginning after I noting Tara Moody's absence, but Mr. Wheeler, you are designated to participate in this hearing, in the voting on this hearing. You have been participating in the discussion in any of it.
Yeah, I can't sit in those chairs.
I'm inclined to grant the variance, both because of the topography and because I do believe the applicant has satisfied my concerns about safety and specifically traffic, and my non-germane but strong aesthetic concerns. That's really all that's my nickel in the pot.
What do you think, Doug?
I think with Todd going down
Yes.
and looking at the fence, and he says if it's back X amount of feet from Turnpike with the slant, and you've got a good view, I say give him, because that is the only flat, because in the back, it goes down from Mountain Road, and he used to have that bridge, that rope bridge down. I don't know if it's still there or not.
There is not a bridge,
No.
no. There's we did some exploring back there, and there's cool
Oh, yeah.
pieces of something. There was a road at one point back there, but no.
Used to be
We'll
one
talk.
of the best
I'll
brook
tell
trout
you
streams.
all
in
Yeah,
town.
yeah.
Gotta,
Well, we used to go up and come down and fish, and then Mark's lived there then, and he'd come out and get on that bridge. what are you guys doing?
Well, it's good we've had the benefit of your misspent youth to recall.
Yeah,
To cross the stream, you have to put on your rubber boots
Yeah.
or find a fallen tree at this point. There's nothing really.
Yeah.
Which is better than that road bridge. That's
I'm sure that wasn't very
Um,
safe,
Well, I'm 55, I washed the road out. That's when the state took over the turnpike.
I want to support this. I'm in the same boat with Andy, and I won't beat it further, because when I looked up, because I tried to also look at what defines a hardship. How do we get the subjectivity out of hardship? And as in my research, not legally sufficient hardship says economic loss, inconvenience, aesthetics, privacy, noise, general safety, personal circumstances, or self-created condition. A hardship must arise from a physical peculiarity, which is the topographical pieces, Ralph, that you're, I think, suggesting, on the land itself, not from what the owner would prefer to do. And this is touched upon a little bit in our POCD around the neighborhood and the rural character and maintaining that integrity. That's the piece where I'm in my head, like I go back and forth, is because of the subjectivity of the definition of hardship, because so often that's what comes before us.
Right.
So I'm still thinking about
Yeah, I guess I'm, you know, again, a lot of it is what we're asked to do by the town, you know what I mean, to represent the citizens. And I know that mountain road, I know where all the bumps are, and it is unusual.
Right.
It's unusual that it has these little bumps, and then you get to your hill, where you just right down to the stop sign, and I'm persuaded. I feel comfortable.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of granting the variance, say aye. No nays, so it is approved unanimously.
And will I receive
A letter of instructions.
of who do I need to contact?
Yeah, me. So yeah.
Okay.
That's cool property, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you the letter.
Okay, I appreciate it. Well, thank you everybody for your time. Thank you. Good seeing you again.
Thank you very much. We'll move along now to public hearing on application ZVA 26-003. James Riley, 120 Highland View Drive, Summers, seeking a variance from section 214-3.4.b.3 to place an accessory structure 15 feet from the side and rear property line where 25 feet is required. First of all, Mr. Wheeler, this time I'll do it in the right order. You are designated to participate in the hearing.
Thank you.
Do we know that all the butters have received
Because I received confirmation today.
You
I
have?
did get this.
Okay, all right. Mr. Riley, the floor is yours.
Very good. Yes, I am requesting a variance to put up a storage building on my property. I want to put it in the back part of my lot. The problem that I'm having is I have a leach field that pretty much runs diagonally across the back part of my yard, and it's really obstructing any chance I have of putting that building in the footprint that I want it. It's going to be a lot easier. I know this gentleman was mentioning something about looking at a map. I submitted one. I don't know if you still have it or not, but I can pass this one around.
That was when you
Or you
said
just put it in the middle of the table.
It's just a lot easier for you guys to visualize what I'm talking about. So this is the street. This is the back part of my lot, and this is the leach field I'm talking about. And it pretty much takes away everything here. Obviously, the 50-foot frontage is here. But I'm asking for a variance to go from 25 feet to 15 feet. I'm asking for 10 feet from the back and the side, and obviously that's the hardship I'm having. It's a perfectly good functioning leach field right now in septic design, our system.
This is your leach field?
That's the leach field, yeah. So there's the septic tank here, goes into like a junction box, then you got the 2 legs here,
Yeah, right.
and the 2 legs here.
One question comes to my mind is there any reason you couldn't have been putting it in this section over here?
Yeah, that's the front part. So this is the street, and that's the front part of my lot, and that's a 50-foot setback right here.
Oh, that's
It would look
that's
completely
within the
different.
setback. Okay.
Yeah, this is the front of the house. This is the street, that's the front of the house.
Okay.
It just-
No, that's fine. That's the
No,
right answer.
the field,
The
cornfield's
cornfield,
back
yes.
here, right?
Yes.
Yes, the cornfield is
The
back
much
there.
discussed cornfield.
Oak Ridge Dairy Farm.
What's the size of the structure?
It's 30 by 40 proposed.
Okay.
and this shed is existing right now, this would go away. So this is going to come off
Okay.
the property.
All right.
But yeah, so I spoke with a couple of professionals and in the field, and they're saying this whole septic system would have to be completely re-engineered, completely ripped up. More than likely, removal of the 1,500 gallon tank. The sprinkler system would have to come up. I mean, this is a major job that would have to be done, and it just doesn't make any sense if I could get 10 feet on each side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable, but that's what I'm faced with.
All right.
And I did speak with the town, I think he's the sanitarium, Jeff Kaplan, and he mentioned to me that, this is still a decent distance between that and the existing leach field.
Now, what's on this line? Anything?
There's nothing on that except for my neighbor, and he's over here. He's in a butter.
Yeah.
The Barills are a butter. Claudia Orifice is a butter, and obviously the Oak Ridge Dairy Farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you got the thing from him. No,
I'm sorry?
you sent out the abutter notice?
I did, yeah. If anything, he would be the one most impacted by it. I had a surveyor come out because I really wasn't exactly sure where the property line was. So this is to scale, and those are the property lines.
Okay. 35 by 40, and it would be
30 by 40.
30 by 40. Height.
So the height is going to depend on the elevation that I get from the the excavator or whoever decides the height. But I'm going to try to get it as low as possible. The wall height is going to be 10 feet, and I'm looking at right now a 3 to 5 12 pitch for the roof. So either 3 by 12 or 5 by 12 pitch on the roof, which is pretty much I'm trying to be as low impactful as I possibly can for the neighborhood. I've got good neighbors. I don't want to block their view, and this shouldn't block their view at all, considering that my lot slopes off in the back. In fact, I have some pictures I took of it. It is it, yes.
Yeah. Can you put the shit over here?
It would be over there, yeah. This right here is a neighbor who's been mowing the lawn, like 10 to 15 feet of my property. But
adverse possession, make sure.
Yeah, again, that's why I had to have a surveyor come out and tell me where the property line was.
Right.
But yeah, it would be in that corner.
Yeah.
And you've had conversations with that neighbor?
I have, yes, and as well as the Barills and also another neighbor to their right.
Okay.
He's not in a butter, but he expressed some concerns. They actually came over to my house last night. We talked about it, and I was, reasonable in the fact that I would make concessions to lower the impact, because in addition to the building, I wanted to put a fence coming out over here and coming to here, because I have a swimming pool in the back, and I have just a see-through fence, and I have 3 daughters, and they were mentioning to me over the past couple of years that they would like some kind of privacy. So we thought that maybe my wife and I would put a fence here, but the neighbors spoke of a lot of opposition to that, and because at first I was thinking of putting a 6-foot fence in, which some of my neighbors already have, but that wasn't the main purpose of this. The main purpose was to get a storage building for that. So I was willing to acquiesce about something like that.
Okay. So it's a storage building, not an equipment garage.
So
or something
it's
like that.
it's 1 story and no driveway, just for storage.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an old antique auto enthusiast. I have a couple Chevelles, and the issue is they're in my garage right now, and I have no room to do anything else because they take priority. So I can't keep them outside.
I don't know if owning collectible cars counts as a hardship, but we can consider everything else.
What are your Chevelle?
70.
454?
One of them does, yeah.
So work on them yourself, or
I do, because that's part of it. Tinkering is part of it. I mean, if you have a car that's 50 years old, something's going to break on it, so you have to be willing to put up with it.
Yeah, but the good part's at 450.
But I think of the neighbors that are involved in this, and I try to be a reasonable person, but this is going to be as low impact for them as possible.
Well, as I said, when we had another applicant about 7 or 8 months ago who wanted to put something closer to the property line, and his neighbor was in complete support. I said, I just don't want that neighbor coming back later and citing the location of this as his hardship for something else. That's all. As long as your neighbor's happy with it.
Yeah. Well, like I
Or
said,
more to the point, it's not voicing opposition to it. Yeah.
yeah, it would have the most impact on this gentleman right here.
Right, yes.
And I've spoken with him a couple of times about it.
Okay.
His response was, "It's your property. You can do what you want." You know.
Okay.
Sounds like blighting.
So.
All right. Any other questions from members of the board? Any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Brill.
My name's James Burrill, 111 Highland View Drive, directly across the street from the Rileys. We've been friends for 20 years, and I hope this doesn't cause any friction, but we had some concerns that we discussed 2 separate days. We didn't get notified until Friday, and I understand the postmark rules and everything, but we were meeting to discuss if we could get some concessions, like Jim said, to minimize some of the impact. And, having been to court before, I've always been told, get everything in writing. And we were hoping that we could continue our conversations and just come to some kind of agreement that I think our biggest concern is not the building or the size of the building, but we have more concern with the fence. And we were talking about maybe shortening it, maybe eliminating it, maybe using shrubbery, but there's no guarantees that will happen if we don't oppose this.
Well, the fence is not, per se, is not part of this application, is it?
No, it's got nothing to do with it.
The only thing before this board tonight
I understand.
is the building and the setback. And I'm not saying I'm not sympathetic to what you're saying. I quite understand it. But that's not what we've got before us. Yeah.
And I understand that, and like I said, because we didn't find out about it, and our other neighbors are both on vacation, 2 of which sent me statements to read.
Now, did the notice to them count in your?
I talked to Claudio, and I said if you would like to submit something in writing, you can. Generally, I don't read letters and emails, that I would just state their name and address, and if they're in opposition, or sometimes it's certain. I said, if you'd like to send it to someone else to submit, we can take it in for the record. He can present it if he wants to read the whole thing, if you want him to read the whole thing. I mean, we have, generally we allow people at public hearings to say what they want to say.
Exactly.
So if he wants to read, even just
Well, my only concern really was the notice part of that.
Right. I mean, the thing was postmarked July 31st, which is, I guess, within 10 days from this hearing.
Yes.
But we didn't get it till Friday, just Friday, and we had no time to. We knew nothing about it, so we had no time to.
No,
do some research.
I hear you, but
Yeah.
it would appear that the applicant made all the legally required efforts.
Right.
The failure's on the part of the post office.
And the notice was published twice, as it's supposed to by state statute, in the paper, which, I mean, the statutes say what notification has to be provided.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, and the other part that as I noted, is that the fence per se is not part of this. What they're here for us. Right. Whatever permitting they might require on the administrative level is a different matter. Just as I said in our last Oak Ridge hearing, that we didn't care whether manure smelled. The question was, whether an order was being followed. In this case, the question here is whether a variance is properly presented for the one purpose. But I didn't hear about the fence until you mentioned in casual conversation.
Yeah, and we don't want to make that an issue here, but we would like to continue talking to Jim and his wife and just see if we can agree on something and just get something written, and we wouldn't oppose it otherwise. And I know in Oak Ridge, I've been to some of those hearings, and the board said, well, we need time to look at this, and why don't we table our vote till the next meeting? And we were hopefully going to request it. You can table this vote, give us more time talk with our neighbors, and our neighbors are on vacation right now, to come to an agreement on, because all we know is the footprint of the building. And again, I'm not so concerned with the building, but I want to talk to them about other things and come to a meeting of the minds that we understand what's
I
happening.
hope you all work that out, but as I say, even if you don't work it out, the application before us is about the building and about the setback from the side yard setback.
I understand that. So, like I said, I had a statement to read. It explains how I think it's a hardship to me, and then I have a letter for 2 neighbors.
Can I ask a clarifying question first? Is it postmarked by the 31st, or does it have to go certified mail, or does it just go standard mail?
It's this thing.
Certificate of mailing.
Certificate of mail. And we have certificate of mail that was sent on the 31st?
Yes.
Yeah, we're not.
I just want to add to that real quick. I came to the town of Summers on the 30th, which is Thursday afternoon. I got the letter from Jennifer, and I put them in envelopes that night, addressed them that night, and sent them out the next morning. So there was really no delay on my part.
Well, there's no defect in any notice.
It sounds like it's all legally sufficient. Go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, we had preliminary discussions with the Rileys over the last couple of days, hoping to come to an agreement and receive some assurances about what the final structure would look like, because there's no plans yet, from my understanding, so I couldn't say anything except this is how wide the footprint's going to be.
Well, just as we don't exactly know what Mrs. Savoy's fence is going to look like, we don't know, all we can deal with whether it can be built where on the footprint he's talking about.
Right. And I know you put some stipulations on that, and maybe we could do that here, but...
Well, we could, except, of course, the fence isn't on the issue. Yeah.
I mean, that's not all of it. So, and we've been residents of Summers 35 years, 15 years we lived on Shaker Road, and we had a beautiful view of the sunsets, budding the field, a farm that goes all the way to Enfield. And then 15 years later, they were developing Highland View. We went there and said, this view is 10 times better. And we'd like to buy a house, but we don't want to... I've always been taught, don't buy a house with a view unless you can afford to also buy it.
Right. I
always
have
understood.
an acquaintance who lives around the corner who says, they put up Highland View and there went my Highland View.
Yeah. So, we did some research and we contacted the town of Summers before we went forward purchasing our lot, and they assured us that there was some kind of non-development restriction on the 86-acre farm for so many years. I thought it was originally 99 years or something. They said they couldn't do anything there except farm for the foreseeable future. So then we looked at the properties across the street, and we want to make sure that the view wouldn't be threatened in the future. We look at the two properties across the street. So the Riley's property is at the end of our driveway on our left. So, and then the other budding neighbor is to the right. So where their land abuts is like my direct line of sight to the mountain range. And we have a beautiful view. I got a picture. Thank you. Yeah. And this, that's a view. Beat that.
Yeah, that's not the scale, by the way.
Well, this is just a photograph.
Yeah, but that's a view from the street, not from your porch.
This is from my porch. I took it this morning. Well, I swear under oath it is that I took it this morning. Let me see.
You're on the cornfield there.
Is there any kind of time imperative you're operating on? You've got to get this done because of this reason. Any time imperative other than, of course, you want it?
No.
And we just, we want to just talk further to hash.
Well, other than the fact that I wanted to do it this summer.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just wondered if there were, the contractor's available for 15 days or something like that.
This is the estimate of a 30 by 40 You know, it's not perfect, I don't think. And then if there was a fence,
Yeah,
it
so
covers
those
the
are AI
cornfield.
generated.
Yeah.
Those aren't real photos.
No,
They're really not to scale.
He's saying that, right?
Well, you can see it would go over we wouldn't even be able to see the cornfield and the geese that are there, but anyway.
We already had a discussion about the fence, and I said I would acquiesce about that.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you could just
The fence
get
is not
something
nice.
in writing.
I'm not going to put anything right. It's ridiculous.
Let's see. So that tells me that.
Nobody would do that.
Okay.
No, because if I tell you something, that's what it is. I'm not going to go back on his word.
Do you have any comments, sir?
I mean, I'm not done with my
Are
story.
you here from the
Oh,
floor, sir?
sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Brio still has the floor.
Oh, sorry.
So, I mean, if someone tells me that they won't do that, but my word is good, it makes me suspicious. So, basically, you know, the pictures I showed you on the phone, we have a beautiful unobstructed view, and we didn't have to ever worry about another house being built there because you can only build, you know, it was a development of 0.92 acres, one house per lot, and nothing could get subdivided in between. In addition, we had covenants in place that I acknowledge that they have expired just a few months ago, after 25 years. But there's a covenant that said preserve all lot owners a unique, picturesque, and desirable view of the mountains. And there were also restrictions on lot use and building types, stating no buildings or structures of any kind whatsoever other than a single-family private dwelling house not to exceed 2 stories in height and a private garage for not more than 3 cars shall be constructed.
Mr. Brio, those were part of the covenants that expired?
Yeah.
So,
I understand that they're not legally binding, but you know, after we verified all those points, we decided to buy the house, the lot, and build there. So currently, everyone living on Highland View Drive and Kensington Court, all the current residents who built or purchased property here agreed to be bound by restrictions, and I believe the intention is there. And I recognize the person's right and enjoyment of his property, but I feel that in addition to the current 3-car garage, adding another large 3-car garage right in, not in the middle of the yard, but it's right on the side yard. I thought about the hardships, consulted with an attorney, and we maintained that they did not have a valid legal hardship. They chose to place their house on their lot. They chose to put their leach field on the lot. They chose where to put the reserve leach field. They also chose where to put their deck, their pool, their cabana, and their current outbuilding, which is, he said it was going to be removed, but it's currently half on Oak Ridge's property. It's not properly set back. So we acknowledge that they have personal hardship, but we maintain we don't think it's a legal hardship. And now that they have limited space due to their choice of placement of other structures, that creates a hardship for us and our neighbors, impacting our view, our quality of life, and most definitely decreasing our property value significantly. I mean, I just ask you, imagine if you bought a house in a beautiful neighborhood, how would you feel if someone had a large 3-car structure on their side lawn, impeding your views and affecting your property values? So, if we can't get any stipulations or meet with Mr. Riley and come to an agreement that we could sign together, and we would have to object to the variance being granted, requested to be denied. And it's nothing personal. Been friends for 20 years with the Rileys, and I regret having to be in this position. We just request that they abide by the current zoning setback rules that apply to all of us and consider a smaller structure to make blend in for the entire neighborhood. And then, like I said, one of our other neighbors talked to Jen, and another one sent an email to you asking, and it was probably after you left.
To me?
It has to be submitted to the record. I have a copy of it here. And if I could, I'd like to read their statements. But again,
this is from one of the applicant's side abutters?
one of the butters on the side.
He's not an abutter.
It is one of the butters on the side. It's Claudio Orifice. And the other one abuts me, so he has a direct view through there. But he doesn't directly abut the property, as I don't. I'm on the other side of the street. So this is from Claudia Orifice of 120 Highland View Drive. Statement opposing variance, ZBA number. Say, good evening, I live immediately north of 120 Highland View Drive, and I went asking the board to deny this variance. We brought our home at a premium because of the extraordinary views from Highland View Drive. We enjoy those views every single day from our windows, our yard, and our patio. When you enjoy panoramic views, you don't only look straight ahead, your eyes naturally travel across the landscape. That means the character and openness of our neighbor's properties are part of the view that all of us enjoy. Mr. Riley is proposing a 30 by 40 foot garage, a 1,200 square foot accessory building. His application asks the board to reduce the required 25 foot side and rear setbacks to only 15 feet. That is not a small adjustment. My understanding is that without this variance, Mr. Riley can still construct approximately 20 by 30 foot garage. In other words, denying his variance does not prevent him from having a garage. It prevents him from building a substantially larger garage in locations that does not comply with the required setbacks. The distinction is extremely important. I understand that a septic or leach field issue may limit where you can build, but if a reasonable conforming garage can still be constructed, I respectfully question whether the circumstances justify granting a variance simply to accommodate a garage twice the footprint of 600 square feet versus 1,200. The large building will have a very real impact on the surrounding properties. It will replace open space and vegetation with a structure approximately the footprint of a small house. It will affect our views, the open character of Highland View Drive, potentially the value and enjoyment of surrounding homes. This neighborhood was developed around these extraordinary views. In fact, our original neighborhood covenant specifically stated the purpose was to preserve the unique, picturesque, and desirable view of the mountains for the lot owners, and although I understand the covenants may have expired, it demonstrates something important. Preserving these views was part of the very character and design of this neighborhood from its beginning. I'm not asking the board to prevent Mr. Riley from using his property or from building a garage. I'm simply asking, why should the zoning requirements that protect all of us be relaxed so that one property owner can build a substantially larger garage and a smaller conforming garage appears to remain available to him? And once a variance like this is granted, the impact isn't temporary. That building could be there for generations. So please consider what this will look like, not only for Mr. Riley's property, but for my property, from the homes across the street, from the neighborhood as a whole. I respectfully ask the board not to grant this variance and instead require the garage to be designed and located within the zoning requirements that apply to everyone in our neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration. Claudia Orifice, 126, correction to what I originally stated, 126 Highland View Drive, Somers, Connecticut.
Can I just ask, which is your house? This is the subject property. You live across the street here?
What number do you live at?
I live at 120.
Yeah, it's right here.
This gentleman was from Claudia Orifice is here. His mountain views are over here.
So 126.
126, is 126 the neighbor on the side where you're...
Yes, that was that gentleman's letter that he
okay, that's on the other side, okay.
Yes,
yeah,
on this side.
You know, if the applicant...
So the mountains are here, over here. That goes this way.
If the applicant wanted to dig up the septic, redo that whole system at, $100,000 or whatever, and then put that there, he could do it, right?
I understand that.
Right.
That's why I was hoping.
Could actually build it bigger.
Right.
And we understood that, and we were hoping that we wouldn't have to oppose this. We were hoping that we could continue to talk when they get back from vacation and just come to an agreement on, like I said, I know the fence isn't part of this, but between two of us, if we come to the agreement on the fence, we would withdraw our objections. And that I do have a longer letter from the other neighbor.
Yep, just for the record, Mr. Hollister, Highland View Drive, you sent a letter in opposition.
Okay.
It's lengthy, it's 2 pages.
I go back to the hardship. The hardship discussion. I don't know if you stop me if this is for deliberation, but he can still build a structure, to your point, Abe, right? Like if he wanted to get rid of the septic, he could. He can still build a structure within our zoning regs without a variance. It just wouldn't be the same size.
Right.
Or
the hardship.
The system would have to be moved.
What?
The septic system.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. The leach field. Right.
But it does go back down to the definition of hardship, right? Of choices on where to put things. And the desire of it. So where we would be approving a variance, is it really based on I guess however we define hardship? Because you can still build the structure. This is based on the size of the structure that he wants to build and the location he wants to build it, right? And topographically, it's relatively flat land.
Yes. If you want to get...
To me, I have to take the fence out of the equation because it's stick to your point, right? This is purely just... Yeah, this is purely just the structure.
Not an issue before this board.
Yeah.
Can I just, before you guys start getting into more deliberations, can I just respond to something he said about the covenants and bylaws and restrictions of the property?
You know, they're expired. So
yeah, I know, and they're not really relevant here anyways, but, you know...
They're expired. I mean, if you just want to get off your chest, that's one thing, but they're not in our consideration at all.
Okay. Then I don't need
In the immortal words of Captain Jack Sparrow, they're more like guidelines.
Well, I mean, he had a lengthy talk about, a couple of different people expressing their dismay of it. And I don't want that to be left on your front and your mindset. I want you to think about there's another side to that too, as far as the covenants and restrictions.
I feel uncomfortable having my back turned to people. Okay. I think a couple things. Is there any real hardship to you if you waited 1 month? Because while they're sitting here opposed, they're saying, they're surprised, and all of us, I think, when we're surprised. And I have no doubt you legally complied with the notice requirements, right? That's clear. But you have some neighbors which may be convinced. And from my own perspective, it's like you could build a smaller one in compliance. I would want the larger one too. And I might say to myself, I'll spend that extra month of time in hopes of getting the one I want in agreement with my neighbors. You know what I mean?
I don't think 1 month of time is going to make any difference.
Okay.
It's going to be zero difference.
All right.
In our opinion, I think it would make a difference, Jim. I really
that's
do.
where we disagree.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to change your mind at all in 1 month.
Right.
Okay. Well, I don't just to interject the whole fence issue. I don't think so. The variance runs with the land.
Right.
The variance is strictly to construct a 30 by 40 structure 15 feet off the side of your property line. Period. You can't stipulate never to put up a fence.
Yeah, right.
You
Of
can't
course
do
not.
that.
Of course not.
So that's not going to be in writing from the town.
Right, and I'm not
On
asking
the
town
land
ground.
records.
I hope that we can discuss that, because yesterday when we talked, you were saying I could lower the fence, I could end it here, or have no fence at all and put shrubs around the pool. And that would be much more satisfactory to us, and I don't think it would affect our property values as much.
We talked about the fence already, and I had already said that the fence wasn't a big priority for me. It was more of the building than I wanted. Now, even as far as the fence is concerned, I've been there for 25 years. I have 3 daughters. We have a swimming pool. Around the swimming pool, we have just it's basically a see-through fence.
Oh, you have to.
I have, a right to have a fence for privacy. Right now, I've gone the 25 years I've been there with no fence whatsoever. Is that meaning that anybody driving down the street can see what's going on in my back? Now, it wasn't really a big deal when my girls were, 6 and 7 years old. But they started getting, I don't really, want to be in my bikini and people can see us. So it was one of the things where, they started mentioning that about that. My wife also said it would be nice to have a sense of more of a privacy thing. But I said that, when they came over, that was a big concern, which I didn't know. I thought, that maybe the garage was a bigger concern more than the fence. But it turned out, if what they're saying is accurate, that they wanted a lower fence or no fence at all, ideally. Now, the gentleman that was right
let me
next
say to you what I said to them. Fence is not before us. This is a Board of Appeals, and the only thing that the Board of Appeals is dealing with is your request specifically for the setback. I don't want to get into anything else right now because we will not have anything to say about it. It will not be part of our stipulations, if there are any stipulations. So,
I just wanted to respond back.
I hear you, but as I say, it's not germane to what we're going to do here.
Yeah, well, I have something I'd like to add, if I may. I mean, you've had the pool for years, and I sit on the porch every day and have my coffee, and I cannot see into the pool. So I can see the edge of the fence, but I can't see any people in there.
The pool is also not before us tonight.
Right. So,
okay.
I just want to have more time
fence
to.
around the pool by law.
Well, there's a fence there now. Just
Any
bars.
I have a comment.
Could you identify yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Allison. I have property at, 86 and 91 Highland View.
Okay.
So I'm not in a butter.
Right.
On my property, I can see, Jim's house. And I think the hardship, as I would see it, is the movement of his septic system and leaching field is a huge expense. And the little variance that he's asking for is minor in the scope of what it abuts to. It abuts to open space. So I think that from knowing Jim we've lived there for 12 years, his character and the way he's maintained his property, whatever he is going to construct will be done with great taste, and it will not detract, in my opinion, won't detract from any value of properties, and it is a slope down. And I think the request for the variance, given the hardship being the expense of moving the septic and the leaching field, should be granted.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public?
Yeah, this general comments, since we're having a open
Well,
discussion.
if it's from the board, we can close the hearing and get to deliberations.
Well, do I?
Yes.
Do I get to read this, or do I have to submit it?
Oh, no.
What's that?
This is Hollister's letter.
Another neighbor.
Yeah.
They're not in a butter, though.
It doesn't matter if they're in a butter, though.
Right.
Anybody who has an interest can talk. But I have printed a copy of it.
But
Either
is the
we
board
should
going to read it?
or he can read it out loud. Why don't
So
he
if
read it out
you
loud?
want. Yeah, you're right.
Could the board read it before they make their decision?
Well, you
No,
can
why
read
don't you read it out loud now? That way
Okay,
we'll
and I know
argue
they
it.
probably mentioned the covenants too, so I'll try to
Just read it.
gloss over that. It's from Vincent Hollister, Highland View Drive, 99 Highland View. Dear members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I'm writing requesting the variance requested by Jim Riley for his property on Highland View Drive. I respectfully request that the board continue consideration of this application rather than take final action at this time. The request is not intended to simply delay the application or to oppose the neighbor's reasonable use of the property. Rather, the residents most directly affected have had only a matter of days to determine the full scope of what's being proposed, evaluate its potential impact, and determine whether reasonable protections can be developed that would allow the parties to reach an acceptable resolution. Our first concern is the significant difference in the size and visual impact of the proposed structure if the variance is approved. Based upon the information communicated to us, the variance would allow a garage measuring approximately 30 by 40 feet compared with approximately 20 by 30 foot that could otherwise be constructed. In other words, the variance would facilitate a structure with approximately twice the footprint. Of particular concern to the neighboring properties, the additional square footage of the larger building would significantly impede the existing views across the cornfields and mound. These views and the relatively open character of Highland View have been important features of this neighborhood for many years. While we understand that the original neighborhood covenants may no longer be legally enforceable, the proposed development appears inconsistent with the spirit in which the neighborhood was originally developed and in which many residents purchase and maintain their properties. We are concerned not only about the immediate visual impact, but also about the potential effect upon the character and property values of the surrounding homes. Compounding this concern is the extremely limited amount of time neighboring residents have actually had to evaluate the application, although we understand that there may be a statutory notice period associated with this application. At least one directly affected neighbor did not receive the notice, until Thursday, August 4th, and the other on Friday, August 5th. As a practical matter, we have had approximately 3 days to develop a partial understanding of the proposal, and virtually no opportunity to obtain professional input regarding the potential effect on neighboring properties, or so to speak, or to speak meaningfully with other residents who may be concerned. In addition, our concerns extend beyond the garage itself. From 2 preliminary conversations with Mr. and Mrs. Riley, we have learned that they're also considering the installation of privacy fence which still resident. So I guess I can skip that. Further obstructive views. Our concern is therefore not simply the garage and the fence, considering independently what cumulative and permanent visual impact these improvements could have on the surrounding properties. Importantly, our preliminary discussions with the Rileys have been reasonably positive. They have expressed a willingness to work with us, and we would like the opportunity to continue those discussions in good faith. Specifically, we are willing to consider not opposing the request variance if the directly affected parties can develop an appropriate, legally binding, and enforceable agreement prohibiting certain things in the area that would further obstruct these views. We are not asking the board to resolve that private agreement for us. We are asking for sufficient time to determine whether such an agreement can be reached and appropriately documented. We also respectfully ask the board to carefully consider the basis for the claimed hardship supporting this variance. From the information presently available to us, the need for the variance appears to arise at least in significant part from prior decisions regarding the placement and configuration of the residence, pool, septic, and leach fields, and now the proposed accessory structure. To the extent those circumstances were created through choice concerning the development and use of the property rather than by unique physical characteristics of the land itself, we believe the distinction deserves careful consideration by the board. A hardship created by decisions made on one property should not, without careful consideration, result in a new and permanent hardship being imposed upon neighboring property owners. For these reasons, our request this evening is straightforward. Please continue the application and allow the affected neighbors and the Rileys a reasonable period of time to conduct additional due diligence to determine whether an agreement can be reached. We believe that continuance provides the best opportunity for cooperative resolution that respects Mr. Riley's objectives while also protecting the legitimate interest of neighboring property owners. If the continuance is not granted, or if the parties ultimately cannot reach an enforceable agreement protecting against the additional obstruction created, then we respectfully oppose the variance. Without these protections, approval would permit a substantially larger structure and leave neighboring property owners with no meaningful protection against additional fence that, together with the garage, could significantly alter the views and character of this portion of Highland View. Under those circumstances, we maintain the dimensional requirements applicable without the variance, and therefore limit the size and impact of the proposed structure would be the only meaningful protection presently available to the neighboring properties. We are attempting to approach this matter reasonably and in the spirit of being good neighbors. We recognize Mr. Riley's desire to improve and enjoy his property. At the same time, those improvements should be balanced against their permanent impact on the surrounding neighborhood. A short continuance would provide the parties with the opportunity to determine whether that balance can be achieved cooperatively rather than forcing the board and the neighbors into an unnecessary all-or-nothing decision with only a few days' notice. Thank you. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully submitted, Vincent Hollister. And I just want to add, Mr. Riley had a great business that we patronized. He owned the Midas Muffler Shop in Enfield. And, my understanding, he currently has a lift in his current garage attached to his house and would like to put one in here, which also I have no objection to. My concern is a 6-car garage on the property. I know he has a couple cars he wants to store in there, but I'd hate to see it become a mini Midas with people, because I know friends come over to their cars and they work on it together, and I don't have a problem with that, but I'm afraid now that he's sold his businesses and retired, could there be any potential for having a side business that doesn't really conform with a residential area?
There's been nobody friend come over to my house and we work on their car.
I've seen pace cars. Do you own those?
Cousin
Again,
has one. We didn't work on it. He
Gentlemen,
came over to my house.
again, we're discussing the setback. Not who comes to visit, not whether or not they've been outrageous.
I'm just saying, if you're allowed to talk and say something like that, I should be able to rebut it.
You said, you said.
Well, we think it's going to impact the neighborhood, and I just like to come to a very concrete decision about.
I've been sitting here looking at the plan. He can move the garage right up here in the front, and we wouldn't even have to deal with
Well,
it.
you wouldn't because they had the 50-foot setback.
Right.
So setback in a reserve leach field.
No, I wouldn't even have to move the leach field. Put it right in the front yard, right here. You wouldn't even have to come to us, and it's only or be approved by the zoning board.
You put it in the front yard.
Exactly, that's what I'm
I
saying.
thought it had to be 50 feet back.
To me, the best place is where it's putting it back here to preserve the neighborhood and everything else.
We understand that. We just asked for time to talk to them a little more.
But the other issue you just brought up, that would be, hey,
It can't be
Yeah.
in the front yard.
right, huh?
It can't be in the front yard.
No.
Outbuildings can't be in the front yard.
50-foot setback.
All right, so then he'd have to.
We just, we got the notice Friday, we didn't know anything about it, so we're trying to scramble. We tried to talk to Jen, she was out of the office Monday, so
Certainly,
that left.
certainly done your work.
So we, just, honest, Jim, we need time. The two neighbors that sent statements, they're on vacation. They would have been here if they would have been here.
Well, their
So if
statements are in the
we
record.
could get together and really chat about this a little further, because we've had 2 one-hour meetings, and it's a lot. And our street our house is right across the street, and that's been our view for 20 years. And now there's going to be a big structure in there. Just think of yourself. Would you want a big structure? But if we can work together, then we agree. It's set back. It's lower, but we don't have any concrete evidence that you're not going to just you can take your word for it. It's just hard for us.
Even if he gets the variance,
Right.
he still has to submit something to the building official, and it has to fit the requirements in terms of elevation, any other numbers, specifications. So it's not like there aren't going to be some of those concerns aren't going to be addressed ultimately.
But we just want to be able to talk a little further.
And we don't think, I think we could withdraw our opposition if we could just talk to you. And, I know you don't have plans yet.
I thought we already did that.
Yeah.
Came over the house twice.
But what guarantee do I have that you just say,
Well, who's going to put something in writing?
somebody who wants to be a good neighbor and who tells me his word is good.
All that doesn't matter, because if we approve the variance, he's got to make the specs and submit it to the town for the height. It's going to be 30 by 40, and the height and all that, and that's all going to be submitted to the town.
I understand that. I'm just saying we wouldn't even object if we could just talk a little more and do it in the next meeting.
Can I ask a question? So, who received letters, and what was the condition of receiving a letter?
What do you mean, what was the condition?
Well, I understand the butters.
So, basically, sorry, I didn't mean to snap earlier, but I said anybody. It's okay. I didn't, I'm a little angry. So, our regulations state that you have to send notification to abutters by certificate of mailing within 100 feet. I provide a map of who's within 100 feet. State statute says that we have to run it twice in the paper. I do that.
Okay.
And it gives us a date. It can't be any more than 14 days, and no less than 2, and we don't count today. So we follow the statutory postings. I'm surprised. Anybody on Highland View who is aware of what's going on in town probably would be checking our agendas regularly. I just want to interject that, although this is only relevant because of what's going on with Oak Ridge, right? So they check our board, our calendar. So we can't, your purview is there a hardship that would, is valid? It can't be self-created, it can't be financial. Is there a hardship to grant? the setback distance.
Okay.
And we have no purview over covenants, whether they're expired or not. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, most of you have been on the board for a while, I mean, Bob's fairly new, so just so that he's familiar with, you're just looking at, doesn't matter if he wants to put a purple building there.
Right.
Is there a hardship that he would need that's unusual, to be 15 feet off the property line instead of 25?
Okay.
And I would maintain that it's self-created because he knew where his leach field and all his other structures were put. And now he ran out of space and he's asking for production, which, again, I'll fully support it if we can just talk one more time. And
It's the timing. We were rushed into this. We didn't know, we don't get the newspaper, so yeah, I know. So I don't know.
But I'm just concerned that you say my word is good, but you won't.
But in all honesty, none of that really is relevant. Is there a hardship?
Right, that's the
whether people oppose or not, holds it down to the statute. Is there a
It didn't
hardship?
help that the post office said he didn't get it till.
Right. We didn't have much time.
Yes, I think, are you making the motion to close the hearing?
Move on to close the hearing.
Can I just add one thing? Did I tell everybody we built house was 26 years ago? We broke ground in 2000. So at that time, that's where the civil engineer had placed our house, and Leachfield, the design was right then and there.
Okay.
That was 26 years ago.
Okay.
So for him to say, I ran out of room because I knew that the house was going in here, and that doesn't make any sense.
Well, sure it does. You knew.
We
You added stuff.
We have a motion to close the hearing. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing is closed. Do I have a motion for us to consider? Would you like me to make it?
Why don't you make it? No, I wouldn't do that, Mr. Chair. You should not have to make motions. So I'll move to approve the application submitted.
Second.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. Stems. Discussion.
Now, I started this by saying, look, let's just continue in a month, take a 6-pack of beer over to your neighbor, and, that's where I kind of started. But I recall we listened to a case here. You I think, might have been on there. I know, Dougie, you were. Where we had a very similar situation where there was an outbuilding on Battle Street just behind a pharmacy. They wanted to build it this big.
Yeah.
And we said, you can build it smaller and be in compliance. And that's how we voted. And that's how I'm feeling now on this. I'd got some old British sports cars myself sitting around. None of them operational, but but you could make it smaller and be in compliance. So now I'm at the point where even if you took it over to your neighbors and there was no objections, I'm in a spot where I might have to say no for my vote only because you could make it smaller and be in compliance. So that's it. That's kind of where I sit.
This is going to be a significant
Wait, we can't,
cost.
it's public hearing closed,
Yes,
sorry.
right.
I can see that point. I do have to acknowledge, it's not a question of, unless this was a designer-built house, he said, I want my leach field right here. I don't know what, I had my leach field put in, which was a hurry-up job because it turned out the previous owner had it running down a well. An 1890 house.
1805. Sorry.
But in any event, the sanitarian came out and said, it's got to run here. And there it ran. So I'm inclined to think that this is not a question of I've always wanted to have my leach field over here. So I'm not. I don't know that. I'm not going to. We could say to the guy, you want a building this big? You either get you can get the variance, or you can request the variance, or you can tear up your leach field.
Or you can build a smaller building.
Or you can build a smaller building. And now you're talking about 30 feet wide by 40 feet deep, or have I got that wrong?
Yeah, 40 feet from the street would be 40 feet wide. 30 feet wide and 40 feet deep.
Right.
Okay.
That'd be great.
The least impact.
The two Chevelles sit in a 20-foot wide building?
There would be no room.
Okay, yeah, I know.
I'm not a car guy.
I'm sitting here looking at this. You can almost move it to the corner up here and be in compliance.
No, it has to be 10 feet from the septic.
Oh, from the leach field?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You
Now,
sound
the
like
one question I haven't heard specifically is whether the property owner adjacent, whose side yard we're talking about, has said anything one way or the other.
But notice is legally sufficient.
That's true.
They did
That's
right.
true. I just asked. I'm just asking because for all the varying comments I've heard tonight, that's the one that's silent. And yes, you're right. If they state no objection, the only question before us is there a sufficient hardship? I would think that the location of the leach field and the sheer expense of replacing it, which I would think in this day is probably we're talking $50,000 minimum, plus where are you relocating it to? I think that would be a sufficient hardship.
I agree that leach field can be a hardship. I think there's a chance a homeowner could, foresee ahead and do something like that. I think it's very unlikely, especially something built 20, 25, 26 years ago. I don't think they did that with any nefarious plans. Let's put it here. So I agree that in most cases, I would think leach field can be, and yet you can build a smaller building. That's my stumbling block right now.
Well, you're the car guy, and you know it's purpose built.
Yeah, I would love something 30 feet wide. I'd love it, but our job is to uphold the town zoning regulations.
It is, although it's also our discretion to consider the hardships that are presented to us.
Right.
I guess if you don't mind, my issue is when it comes down to the view that they want to keep. If you have a 30 by 40 and we bring it down to a 20 by 30 so it matches, it's still an obstruction for that.
Well, as I said
at
earlier
that point,
tonight, we're not the Board of Aesthetic Appeals.
Right. Whether we go ahead and we say that you could build a smaller one, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's still buildings.
Neighborhood objections would still be, in essence, the same.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, you said that slopes down there? The back?
The lot slopes down.
Slopes down.
Yeah, considerably.
So people across the street are going to be higher anyway.
Neighbor opinions, though, would be superfluous and not relevant if it was otherwise in compliance with the zoning reg.
Right.
So,
I'm saying, I don't know how high it's going to be, but it doesn't seem like they obstruct the view that much. You're going to have the roof, you get a roof up.
I'm not seeing as much of the cornfield. You'll certainly see the hills. Mr. Curtis, any thoughts?
No, as I said before, and Amy, dittoed it. It's a building can be built there without a variance. It's a matter of the size of the building, and I tend to agree that we all live on parcels of land that have their pros and cons and do's and don'ts and can't and wishes, and I tend to believe that you got to work within the parcel that you have. I mean, there's lots of things I like to do in my land as well. I can and can't do, whether it be topographical or not. But even the prior case and others is the definition of hardship. I think it's an unfortunate circumstance, but a structure can be built on that property within our zoning regulations and still not require a variance. And I don't feel like the hardship that's being presented it doesn't. I can't get past the hardship case. Okay. That's where I am.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Can you repeat the motion?
the motion is to approve the variance request.
I'll read it for the record. To So a motion to approve application ZBA 26-003, James Riley, 120 Highland View Drive, Summers, seeking a variance from section 214-3.4.b.3 to place an accessory structure 15 feet from the side and rear property line where 25 feet is required.
Just before we do take a vote, just procedurally, because I want to make sure, is it 3.4.b or is it 3.4.3c, which talks about dimensional side? I know what it states, but when I was reading the regs, I think it's C.
I'll ask.
I just want to make sure that there's not a nuance. A nuance that we miss in this approval, because it will cause paperwork headaches later.
I have 1973 Spitfire, 1974 MG Midget, 1973 TR6, 1974 TR6.
All British cars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Small.
Those are fun.
Open. So I have the type.
But those are small cars.
Yeah, they are.
Very small.
Yeah, it's a concept thing. Get out there.
You got it?
Yeah, no.
Regular size
It's
car.
C.
What?
C.
C.
Oh, got to make the correction? Okay.
C3B, and that's where the B belongs after the too many.
So let me, 214-3.4.c?
Yep, C3B, just to be specific, but it does state that required side yard setback.
This is 3.4.C, 3B after the C.
C3, parentheses D? Okay,
B,
okay.
B as a boy.
Okay. So we are slightly amending your motion, okay? Section 214-3.4.c.3, parens D, close parens. Okay.
And Bob, you understand, I don't mean to talk elementary, they always pose their motion as approved, so if you agree to approve, you're in favor, and,
Sure.
if you don't agree, say nay.
Right.
So that's, for everyone's clarity.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Did you vote, sir?
I did. I'm
You
going
voted aye. Well, it requires 4 affirmative votes, and so the request for a variance has been denied.
It's not a majority.
It's a super majority under state law. So you're welcome to rework and resubmit your plans in discussion with your neighbors, or not in discussion with your neighbors. You can welcome to resubmit them in such a way that would satisfy the provisions. That's where we stand right now.
I think the discussions in the neighbors would not help, at least my.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying this in disagreement with you folks, but we're dealing strictly with the setback requirements here. It can't be, there's a setback, so why don't we also make sure that that it's got these curtains? I'm not saying that that's your point, but I'm offering that as an example, or a fence, or anything like that. The only thing before the PZC, they can do all those wonderful things. But we are strictly we either grant variances or we deal with zoning orders.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from April 23rd, 2026 meeting.
No. Royal Manor.
Okay, do you have a second to approve those
Royal
minutes?
Manor, wrong one.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, yep.
All in favor?
Minutes. Approve the minutes.
Oh, aye. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to abstain because I wasn't here.
Same on you.
Cruising the world.
Now, your favorite.
Let him do
adjourn?
it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? We are adjourned at 7:36.
And I'm in favor of the whole 40-foot.
No, I'm not.
I think it's impacting